Bonnie Bruder, and you are watching the AskBonBon Show, real conversations about what matters most, where we bring you the people and the tools to create you. Today we are talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is laughter and humor. You've heard me say before on the show that sometimes when I leave the house, I try to pretend that it's a Saturday Night Live episode. So getting on the subway, everything that happens in the day, I try to see things through that filter. And I really feel that this has supported me in life because no challenge is too big. It's just something that you can find humor in and work through to the solution. So today I'm really excited to introduce you to our guest because she also believes that humor is the answer to a lot of problems. And she would know because she is a laughologist, she is the president of High Five Productions, and she's worked in the corporate world. Teresa, welcome to today's show.
Hi, Bonnie. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the work that you do. I'm so fascinated.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of the work that I do is very serious work. So I do work with corporations, working with leaders to help them create places where people want to work. So the focus is not only just building employee skill sets, getting them to understand how to do their job, but also getting them to embrace the place where they work, feel that their work has meaning, build a relationship of trust with leadership and with their peers. So I have the best job ever.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a background as a stand-up comic as well, which that's that's kind of a dichotomy, right?
It is a dichotomy. So for the first 18 years of my career, very, very serious. Spent a lot of work at Prudential Financial, which is right across the river. I passed that on the way in. And it was, we had some good times there, but it was not a job where you did a lot of laughing. When I left at the end of 18 years, I took a class in stand-up comedy. Not to become a comedian, but really just to build some humor into my speaking.
Sure.
And at the end of the 8-week class, I did 5 minutes on stage, got some laughs, and stuck with it. So now I've actually been doing comedy for 13 years, and not every weekend, but a lot of weekends, and I really enjoy it.
That's fantastic. That's not easy. It's not that easy to be funny, and especially with stand-up comedy. That must have been that took a lot of bravery.
It's funny. It was brave when I did the first set that I had, but signing up for the class wasn't brave because I never thought I'd have to do that.
Sure.
I mean, the whole point was very safe. We'll learn how to build humor into speaking. But then when you practice and you write, and to be honest with you, comedy is hard because you have to write your own stuff.
Yes.
And it's not always funny the first time you write it. People, it might need some work. People might give you some criticism. So you have to polish it. That's why people do a lot of open mics.
Right.
So they get a chance to practice. But once you get on stage and you have stuff that works, you want to do more of that.
That's one of my favorite things about New York is there is so much great talent. You can
is.
go any night of the week and see these incredibly talented artists practicing their stand-up or at an open mic night. And sometimes even big celebrities pop in and so forth. So kudos to you.
You are very lucky to be in New York and have that opportunity.
Yes.
I come from Philadelphia, and we do have a comedy scene there. But it is nothing like New York. And I'll put a plug in for my friend Mike Vecchione, who is in New York now and is a paid comic and is just doing fabulous. So he's probably one of the great entertainers you would see here.
I'll have to check him out. So how do you bring comedy and the background that you have there into the corporate world to help people either grow or communicate better?
Well, when I do any type of classes, when I do any type of coaching, I try to be real, and I don't know how to explain it other than I don't forget that we're all just human beings.
Yes.
Whether you're the president of a multi-million-dollar company or you're an entry-level person who is just starting out in your career, we're all just human beings just trying to make the best of what we have.
Yes.
And I never lose sight of that. So when we're real, we have to laugh at things because a lot of stuff in business is funny. It truly is.
Right.
I mean, all of these Excel spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations and mission statements and all of this, it's funny. It's funny. Like if you step back, it's really not life, in some ways. So getting them to see, let's be people first, let's be human first. Now let's tackle the business stuff. Now let's tackle the mission statements and the values and helping people feel good about what they do at work.
Yes. It's so interesting. We've had a lot of guests on lately that are talking, they're in the training world and they're talking about how all of these other techniques are being brought in, like meditation and yoga and humor, and I think it's so powerful. And I've been in the speaking world for almost 2 decades now, and I worked for some really top talent. And it wasn't until I took an improv class until I really learned to hone my skills. I realized, whoa, there is a lot more to this than, the technique, and here's how you speak, and here's how you hold your hands. And so I think it is an incredibly valuable tool for anyone that wants to increase their communication skill set.
Absolutely. It makes you comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
And I think the people who are most successful are comfortable in their own skin. They can laugh at themselves. They recognize, I'm good at this, I'm not good at this, and that's okay.
Right.
Right.
So if I'm a company and I maybe have some challenges, whether it's kind of balance, work-life balance issues, or maybe there's some kind of upset within the corporation, how do people start to work with you, and what is your process?
We start with an organizational assessment. So it's almost like being a physician. You know how when you go to the doctors and the doctor will say, you know what, let's get your weight, let's do a little blood work, let's check these things out. I do the same thing with a company. So I'll say, are you making money? Are you hitting your goals? Are people sticking around, or you have turnover issues? Are you getting the talent that you need to get? What's your quality look like? What's your productivity look like? So this is really assessing the health of the organization.
Okay.
So then we can get a baseline. This is where you are. Where do you want to be? Let's look 5 years ahead. What's your target? Where do you want to be? What are the behaviors we need to get to that place 5 years from now? Can we keep doing what we've always done? Or do we need to grow new behaviors? Do we need to stop doing some things that we're doing that are getting in our way? So it's really a very holistic way of looking at an organization, not just from the numbers sense, although that's part of it, but also from what's the buzz? What are people talking about? What are people feeling? What are they thinking?
Okay.
What do we want them to feel and think? And that's where the executive coaching comes in.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's fabulous work.
I love it. I love it. So if I'm a viewer and I maybe work for a corporation that hasn't brought in someone like you, or they have not been exposed to coaching, what are a couple tips and strategies that you would share with the viewers that they can implement to improve their life?
I think asking yourself the question, what is it that I want? What is it that I want? Like really assessing. Let's look 5 years from now, and I am so delighted with where I am. I'm so happy. I look back, and there's so much good stuff. What is that? What does that look like? And then you can back up from there. How did you get to that good place? I think looking to the future, picturing yourself in a good place, that helps you assess what you need to do to get there. What's interesting is many times I ask people, what is it you're looking to do? What do you think the answer they give is?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. And that's a whole nother coaching scenario where we can go through some assessments, some conversations to figure out. And believe me, I have people 40, 50, 60 years old saying, Teresa, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Yes.
And that's okay. You want to reinvent yourself. You want to say, at this point in time, what gives you joy? At this point in time, what are the things that are the strengths that you bring to the table?
Yes.
Let's assess where you are now and where you want to be. To me, it's a conversation. It's a conversation with self-assessment. That's what coaching is.
It's so interesting because we're hearing from so many of our guests two things. We're hearing, number one, start with the end in mind, know what your vision is, but then also be present, which seem like they're two different things, but I think that you absolutely need both in order to create success. So you have the goal, you know where you're headed, but then you also have to be present and in the moment and focused and enjoying the moment.
Because you want to, and I always say the term squeeze the juice out of the day. Every day is a gift.
Yes.
Every day, squeeze the juice out of that day. Because then you look back at that day and you say, I did as much as I possibly could. Not in a busy way, but in a meaningful way.
Yes.
Like I made meaningful use of that day. So if you make meaningful use out of every day, think about what you'll look back on.
Right.
Because every day, that's the living in the now, but not losing sight of some of the things that you want to do, where you want to go.
Right.
It is. It's
absolutely fascinating. This is one of my favorite topics.
So I must be on the right track because everybody else is saying this.
Yes. Well, it's what we hear. We hear a lot of common threads from a lot of different experts. And a lot of times it's said differently, but it's the same message. And, I think those points we hear time and time again, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a coach, an author, anyone that has achieved any relative level of success will tell you that, knowing exactly with clarity what you want is very important.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Well, how can people learn more about you?
Well, certainly my LinkedIn page is robust, and it's funny to say that because most people say, well, go to my website, go here, go. My LinkedIn page really is my home base.
Okay.
And most of the work I get is word of mouth through clients that I've done good work with. People move on to other companies and they want to do the same thing there. So if you go out to my LinkedIn page, Teresa Hummel-Kralinger, you'll find all the information right there. Plus, you're welcome to drop me an email at teresahk@gmail.com.
Okay.
And
Fantastic.
I would be happy to give you more information.
Thank you so much for being here.
Honey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for the work that you do. I'm excited to come check you out and watch your stand-up routine one of these days.
Oh, you must. Maybe I'll come up to New York.
Fantastic.
Very good.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. And we will be right back with another incredible entrepreneur.